Here we go. We're doing this thing. Thank you all so very much for clicking on, and a very good evening to you, no matter when you're watching. If you're watching live or if you're watching at your convenience, 10 p.m., April the 13th, 2024, the day that Iran attacked Israel. Now, Iran has been uh, using proxies to attack Israel for about the past 50 years. Today, for the first time in history, Iran attacked Israel from Iranian soil. If you watch the program, you know that I've discussed that on here with Chris before, that I felt like Iran would not do that because they would not want to jeopardize their um, nuclear program, which is what Israel will go after. Um, and today, earlier today, actually at let's see, um, right around 4 o'clock this afternoon, 3:52 p.m. Um, both U.S. and Israel say dozens of Iranian drones airborne heading toward Israel. So that was when I first became aware of it, and then airspace over Syria, Iraq, Israel, and Jordan were cleared of commercial flights. That was at 4 p.m. So kind of got the feeling things were kicking off. U.S. officials said 50 to 75 drones were on the way. Israeli doomsday plane had taken off. The only plane that was leaving Israel, that military craft. And the drones are just the first wave. I got word this was at 5:10. The drones are just the first wave. Cruise and possibly ballistic missiles will follow from Iran, which they did. Um, then at 5:22, I got a message that Biden would be speaking to the nation tonight. He is not going to be speaking to the nation tonight. Um, and my response to that was I expect an attack on either your U.S. embassy or U.S. military base or maybe one of the ships um, before Biden talked to the public. Those two U.S. military bases have been hit. We will talk about that coming up. Um, at 5:46, got the notification that cruise missiles had been launched. The drones were launched first because they took longer to get there. Now, allegedly, there may be a second wave of drones that will be coming, and a second wave of missiles that will be coming. We'll get into that coming up here in just a few minutes. I kind of want to continue the timeline here. Um, the Nevatim Air Base in Negev, in the Negev Desert, was hit at got that notification at 8:12 p.m. So about 2 hours ago. Now that base is significant because that's where the F-35 um, F-35 fighters that Israel purchased off the United States. That's where those fighters are located, and those are the jets that were used in the attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus a little over a week ago. That led to this direct confrontation. Um, and then let's see. Shortly after that, um, Israelis Channel 12 quoted a senior Israeli official. There will be an unprecedented response to Iran's attack, and I urge all Israeli citizens not to go to bed due to what is coming to Iran's way. So we are kind of anticipating that we'll get some news as things unfold here through the course of the episode tonight. Um, Also, the final thing I got was that Iran has closed its airspace until the 23rd of this month. So the next 10 days, um, I think we can anticipate a back and forth between Iran and Israel, or at least that is the plan at the moment over the next 10 days. Hello to Thin Blue Line Soldier. Peace and blessings to you as well. Hi, Fred. Shelly G, thank you for being here. Hello, not going away. Hi, peace, love, and sunshine. Hi, always be kind. Thank you all for being here. We're just kind of getting things rolling. A lot happened. Now, let's just let's see. How shall we start this? Let me first check in and see if anything's happening. It is getting near daylight in Tehran, Iran. Still rather dark in Israel. Maybe another hour before the light is on there. So let me check the other views. Make sure nothing is going on overhead on any of the multi-cams. Because as you know, there have been reports that there would be a second wave coming, and that does not um, so let's get to the bookmarks. Chris may be on here. I don't know if he's gonna. If Chris is in the chat, we'll have him pop up here onto the screen and give his views. Last night's episode, Chris and I are normally on Fridays. Last night's episode, we ended with talking about Iran and Israel and what was going to happen. And basically, we said we shall see. And indeed, today we have seen at least the first wave. So, Saudi Arabia and Jordan joined the United States and the United Kingdom in shooting down Iranian suicide drones and missiles aimed at Israel. This has been reported by Al Arabiya. This is significant because Israel was attacked not only by Iran, but by Iranian proxies, as they have been from Syria, from Lebanon, as well as Houthi rebels from Yemen, and also the Iranian-backed group in Iraq that also call themselves a form of Hezbollah, but it is not the same organization as the Hezbollah in Lebanon. But Israel was basically attacked from all sides. And as I heard that was going on, I thought, oh my gosh, Israel is going to be devastated. But it was not. And as the title of tonight's episode says, Israel was attacked, but Israel and its allies defended. And we're learning that those allies include Saudi Arabia and Jordan, joining the United States and the United Kingdom. So, will the Saudi Arabian oil fields now become targets of Iran as they have in the past? We shall see. Now, the Israeli defenses, along with its allies, were phenomenal, but they were not 100%. And you're seeing here ballistic missiles impacting into Israel. I've got several shots. Tel Aviv after the impacts, and another impact coming in, and fires beginning to rage around Tel Aviv. Explosions continued to occur. This was 2 hours ago in the Negev region. Several Iranian missiles passed through Israel air defense and hit the air base there. I talked about that earlier. That is the air base that the F-35s are stationed at. That were responsible for the attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus about a week ago now. And so there were impacts. The damage will be downplayed by Israel and the allies, its allies, and the damage will be elevated by those trying to perpetrate it. This is a real unique shot. Video of an exo-atmospheric intercept. This defense tool intercepts and destroys the missile while it is still in space. So this is designed to counteract intercontinental ballistic missiles that go up so high they get out of the atmosphere. And here is here's a look at one of those. That's what it looks like from the ground, capturing it happening in space. So the intercontinental ballistic missiles did not get through. Now, my personal theory is that when Iran saw this, they said, okay, we really don't want this escalating any farther. We're good. We're even. We did a little damage to you. You did some damage to us. We'll call it even. Because that's what basically happened. We'll get to that in a second. Palestinians in the West Bank have begun tearing down Israel's apartheid wall. Iran's counterattack inspired an uprising. Again, this was in the West Bank about 2 hours ago. Israel's Channel 12, as I mentioned earlier, quotes a senior Israeli official pledging an unprecedented response to Iran's attack and urging Israelis not to go to bed due to what is coming Tehran's way. I mentioned that in the beginning. Thus far, we don't have any information as to whether anything has occurred. I'm assuming it hasn't. Footage of a missile that reached Tel Aviv, and you will hear the explosion when I turn up the volume here. So, again, while Israel has a vaunted defense, it is not impenetrable. Iranian missiles seen in the sky over the Knesset building in Jerusalem. The entire attack will change everything about the Middle East. And there's the Knesset, the government building, and missiles directly overhead. Also in Jerusalem is the potential site of the third temple of Israel. But at the moment, the Dome of the Rock and a mosque, the Al-Aqsa complex, sits in that site. We'll talk more about that coming up momentarily. There is the said Dome of the Rock on top of the Temple Mount, and you see the missiles coming overhead, and many of them being intercepted. Iranian embassy. I said after, I think my personal, and this is just me, okay, this is just my gut. Just it's like, what's your gut tell you? My gut tells me that Iran saw those ICBMs get intercepted and destroyed, and put out this statement. As far as we're concerned, the event is over. It's over. If Israel makes another mistake and responds, our response will be much harsher. This is a conflict between Iran and unruly Israeli regime, and the U.S. should not interfere in it. So that is the Iranian ambassador to the United Nations. That is the official response internationally from Iran. Israel's war cabinet approves the military response to Iran's aggression. Again, if you take things at face value from the Israeli official, that will happen yet tonight. So that's why I came on at 10 o'clock I thought most coverage would be wrapping up, and there's a possibility that something may kick off. I thank you all for being here, for watching. Those in the chat, I'll be back in the chat in just a moment and talk about some things. Here's Biden's tweet from 2 hours ago. I just met with my national security team for an update on Iran's attacks against Israel. Our commitment to Israel's security against threats from Iran and its proxies is ironclad. Okay, that's what he's saying to us. That's the message that's supposed to be to us. Again, he did not. Word was out from the White House press corps, okay, that Biden was going to speak this evening. And then word came out about 2 hours later that a lid had been put. And when the lid's put on the press corps, that means there aren't any questions. There'll be no public statements. So that pretty much, I think that happened around 5:30. So Biden did not address the nation. And while this is his statement to us, our commitment to Israel's security against threats from Iran and its proxies is ironclad. What's going on behind the scenes is Biden is trying desperately to tell Netanyahu not to escalate this, not to respond, to take the shot, if you will, and call it even, and everybody go about their business. Because if this does escalate, prices on everything are going to shoot up. Gas will shoot up in the next 24 hours just because of the events, and they'll use that, whether it's warranted or not, to elevate the prices. So, take that information for what it may be worth. Iron Dome engaging incoming Iranian drones near Jerusalem. And a lot of footage like this, but this just gives you, I think this just gives you a great idea of what the skies looked like as this was going on, and going on over the city of Jerusalem. Israeli officials stated there will be a significant response against Iran. This is the best footage I found showing the impacts into that military base. When this first happened, and I thought, okay, they're shooting him into the desert to try to make it look like they're doing something. And then I watched it a second time, and I realized all three were hitting in a relatively close proximity. So I asked the question, what is in the desert? And that is where that Air Force base is located. And this is, again, documenting the ballistic missiles coming in and hitting targets within Israel, because a lot of the Israeli propaganda came out immediately and said, nothing hit, nobody's injured, nothing. And I hope that's the case. I hope nobody's injured, and there wasn't a tremendous amount of damage. But again, how big a part did the United States, the United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, how big a part did those four alone play in making sure that Israel wasn't overwhelmed? Could they have been overwhelmed if they didn't have the support of their allies? That's a question that a lot of analysts are asking right now. Initial reports of an attack on U.S. forces at Erbil International Airport in northern Iraq, as well as Al-Assad Air Base in western Iraq. Again, I anticipated this and said, there will be an attack on the air base, or possibly a ship or one of the embassies, before Biden speaks, because what I think is going on here is we're just, things are escalating layer by layer. I've said before, if Biden has any hope of wanting to do a second term, I can't see America letting it happen. But he needs a war, and we've talked about that. The Iron Dome has been eliminated. Israel's trying to resist Iranian bombardment and warplanes. 3 world wars have officially begun. Okay, no, that don't no, that's not none of that. However, I do want to show this because you can see the drones flying above, the massive amount of fire going up towards them. I just one of the better shots there. Footage of cruise missile over Basra, Iraq, heading towards Israel. So that was 4 hours ago. So we watched all of this unfold. Debris of what looks like a ballistic missile that fell down over Jordan. Again, the United States, the UK, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan itself were shooting down a lot of the Iranian armaments coming over, and that just gives you can just get a little bit of a perspective of how big the things are falling out of the sky. Just debris. These aren't missile strikes. Okay, yeah, that's the Erbil airport. We had that. President Vladimir Putin declared that Russia will support Iran if the United States attacks Iran's soil in support of Israel. So I hope that translation is correct, and I hope that Russia does not get involved. Russia does have troops on the Sinai, or not on the Sinai, in the Golan Heights, in the northeastern part of Israel. We'll get to a map in a minute, and I'll show you some of these places for those that are interested. Hezbollah starts firing MLRS rockets towards northern Israel. Again, Israel was getting attacked from all sides, from Iran, from Syria, from Lebanon, and from the Houthi rebels in Yemen from the far south. Here's what Middle East airspace looked like. You can see that nothing over Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, and this was everything was routed up through here. So eventually, Iran and Iraq, there were no planes, or if there were, very few commercial planes anywhere in any of these airspaces. Things like that give you an indication when things are about to happen. Israel undergoing a significant attack from Iran, ballistic missiles, reports of numerous explosions being heard as sirens going off. So once again, just another view of the interaction between the drones and the Iron Dome missile system that takes those drones out. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just addressed the nation, during which he stated that they are now prepared for a direct attack by Iran against Israel. Defense systems being deployed. That was 6 hours ago. So that kind of catches us up to where we are now. And I'm going to hop back over and check out the chat and say hi and see what's going on. And also set up to see what's going on in, if anything, in the Middle East. So, hello to Officer Mac. Officer Mac, how are you, man? Good to see you in here. Yes, I think without our support, they would have been overpowered. That's I'm kind of inclined to agree with you, peace, love, and sunshine, because when I heard the size of the attack, when I heard all of the proxies were involved. Chris and I have talked about this before. I'm going to drop the link down there. I'm going to drop the link in the chat just in case Chris pops up later on. And when I heard the scope of the attack and it was coming from all sides, I thought this is going to be a challenge for Israel. And I think the United States played a very large part in Israel's defense tonight. I think we'll learn that over the coming days. And looking big picture, BRICS, we always have to remember Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and all of their allies, which include Turkey. And I'll get to Turkey in just a minute. Fred, it seems like every week we get a little bit closer to that horrible day that seems like it's inevitable. Yeah, I can relate to that. I know why people feel that way. I keep trying to have hope. I keep trying to be positive, and at the same time, I'm always in my head making sure, okay, no matter where I'm at, if something happens, what do I do? And making sure that, make sure you're stocked up on the basics. And gas is going to go up. All right. Gas is going to go up tomorrow if it's not going up right now over this, because we're talking about the Middle East. We're talking about Iran possibly attacking Saudi Arabia's oil fields. We're talking Kuwait. We're talking the potential of an escalation to the point where everybody's going, yeah, okay, this is World War III. The United States really needs to play this smart. Again, what I'm hearing from behind the channels is Biden's telling Netanyahu, just let this go. Chris and I last night discussed how, if this were us and Israel was telling us to let it go, we'd tell them to bug off. Israel's going to tell us the same thing. And at the same time, it's obvious we are standing with Israel. Now, that means you got to look at who the allies of Iran are. And Iran is part of BRICS. So Russia has troops, we know, in the Golan Heights. Russia has said they would actively participate within Israel if Israel attacked Iran. Russia said earlier they will attack the United States if United States attacks Iran. Lines are being drawn. How serious will those lines be enforced? Because there's been a lot of, this is a red line, and thankfully it turned out not to be. But this is a tinderbox. The Middle East. It's the Middle East. It is Jerusalem, the center of three of the major religious faiths in the world: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And I'm going to get to the map here in a moment and show some things. I want to make sure I answer the questions before I go away. Not going away says, I have a feeling a lot of stuff may happen Monday. I think for the next 10 days, Iran has closed its airspace until the 23rd of April. So for 10 days, they're anticipating the possibility of incursions that could possibly jeopardize um, innocent civilians in commercial aircraft. So they shut their airspace down. So a lot could happen, and it may be Monday. A lot of these so-called superpowers aren't as powerful as they have led us to believe. I hope we're not. I hope we're not in that category. Peace, love, and sunshine. I hope we don't find out that our military is not as capable as we believe it to be. Um, and if tonight's any indication, I'd say we helped Israel probably immensely. Israel cannot really let it go without seeming extremely weak. Yeah, Fred, and that was one of the things we thought. Iran might do something, not on a major scale, um, so to save face and even the score, which maybe that's what they attempted to do, but um, Israel's going to smack back, and I've been hearing from the backroom intelligence world, if you will, that it could make shock and awe of what how the United States opened the war in Iraq. It could make that look like child's play. So, um, again, my personal opinion, I think Israel's going to use this as an excuse to go after the Iranian nuclear program. And Biden ought to be saying, yes, do it. Take their teeth out. They're going to be part of BRICS, and it could be a very potent adversary. Remember, Donald Trump, when he was president, he pulled the United States out of the treaty with Iran that guaranteed Iran would not pursue nuclear weapons. That could prove to be the dumbest move by a president in history. I hope it's not. I watched you for a long time, Barry, and remind you always on the same track, but we've had a lot of the same ideas over the years. Weeks McHugh would want to raise their children in such a ghastly place. If anyone is surprised at this, they have had their heads buried in the sand. Jicky, unfortunately, a lot of people have their heads buried in the sand. A lot of people don't want to know. I hear it a lot. Well, I don't want to know about that. I personally don't understand it, but the rationale is there's nothing I can do about it, so why should I know about it? I don't understand that thinking. I respect people's right to do so, but yeah, there are people that have had their head buried in the sand and will continue to do so. I sure as hell hope we aren't in that group. Me too. Peace, love, and sunshine. Doesn't Iran make money selling weapons? Oh, yes, they do, Lauren B. A lot of the same drones that were used in the attack tonight, it's the exact same make model of drone that Russia uses against Ukraine that they got from Iran. So yes, they do. Okay, Turkey has been rather quiet about this, and Turkey has said they would send troops into Gaza if Israel went into Gaza. There was no way for Turkey to send troops into Gaza, so that did not happen. That does not mean Turkey will not at some point get involved. Oh, great. Nice ad to show up here. There we go. Sorry about that. What Turkey has done, they've been really quiet, but Turkey joins the regional allies in blocking U.S. airspace for potential Iranian strikes. Now, it is a significant development because we have Air Force bases in Turkey, and really close proximity. We could strike Iran very effectively from Turkey. Um, Turkey, Kuwait, Jordan, and Qatar have denied the United States permission to allow its bases to attack Iran. So we have bases in all of those places. We can't attack Iran from any of them. And that may become significant if Iran escalates um, towards the United States. And um, if there's a plan for that to happen, it will happen. So let me finally get to what did I close it? I accidentally closed the map. No, here we go. All right. The I'm going to start. I'm going to start micro and go macro. I'm going to start zoomed in and go out. I'm going to start with the um, I'm going to start with the Al Aqsa Mosque, and here's the Western Wall, um, Tomb of the Prophets. This is very zoomed in. Here's the Dome of the Rock. The whole platform is called Al Aqsa. The mosque itself is actually called something else, but it's referred to as the Al Aqsa Mosque. Technically, um, it's something else. It's the um, what's it known as? Almasid or something like that. I don't remember, but there are those in the Christian faith that have been taught that this mosque and the other structures. There's some minuets. There's some other smaller mosques, and there's the Dome of the Rock, which is the big golden dome you see in the center of Israel from just about any view around the city. It sits up on the Temple Mount. It covers the stone where Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, is supposed to have ascended into heaven. It's also thought to possibly be the stone where Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac, um, on God's command to do so, to show his allegiance to God over even his own son, and God stopped him. So it's a significant place, um, with all the faiths, because that's where the second temple was. That's where, and that was the temple that Jesus taught in. So there's a tie-in. Anyway, a lot of people in the Christian faith have been taught that the Dome of the Rock, the whole Al Aqsa complex, is the abomination of desolation that that is part of um, the Antichrist return, and thus the Antichrist has to come back before second coming of Jesus, and the temple has to be built, and all these things have to happen before Jesus is to come back. And so a lot of Christians would be happy to see that Temple Mount cleared. A lot of Temple Mount cleared. So much so that there are those um, in the Jewish faith that have already built a public altar to sacrifice red heifers. There's some really good movies. Just look for red heifer. There's some really good movies that explain the importance of the red heifer. Never been yoked, nothing but red hair, not a white hair or black hair anywhere, and never been bred. So um, there are three such heifers in Israel right now, waiting to be sacrificed. so that their ashes can be used to purify the tools that will be used to construct the third temple. They're doing this everything by the book, if you will, and um, that book being the Bible. So let's go back to why Al-Aqsa Mosque. It has to be removed before a third temple can be built. Um, Everybody knows that, including the Islamic people. And when those of the Islamic faith, when something happens to that, it is the third holiest site in all of Islam. So, and something is going to happen to it at some point. Um, I mentioned to Chris that, if they were going to do something at Al-Aqsa, the time would be when Iran is launching missiles towards Jerusalem. But that will only happen if, because the missiles came in tonight. There was no power outages. There was GPS. GPS was out all over the region, from Iran to Israel. The United States responsible for jamming the GPSs, by the way. I don't know if I should have said that, but that allegedly, that's what I heard. Um, so when all the power's out, when all the internet's out, when there's no way of having proof of what actually happened, that's when something will happen. And that wasn't the case. So um, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the mosque. I thought the munitions Iran was distributing, they would be careful not to do that. Very careful. So you see Jerusalem, you see the position of Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is East Jerusalem, and up further up north, the West Bank will come into view. Both of these areas getting have been having conflict between Israelis and Palestinians, and they're gradually trying to remove the Palestinian population in totality from Israel in totality. Uh, and here's the Gaza Strip, Tel Aviv, Netanya, and up here will be, we'll zoom out one more click. And this is the border with Lebanon directly to the north. Syria here, Jordan here, Egypt from the Sinai on out. And we get out to, here's Iran. It's about 1,200 meters, I think, or miles. I forget which one it is, from Iran to Israel. I think it's meters, 1,200 meters. And you've got Iraq in between. Again, here is Jordan. Here's Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and up here is Turkey. Here's Syria. Okay, Turkey, Syria, Kuwait, and Jordan have all said the United States cannot use their airspace to attack Iran. We do have bases in Iraq. Those bases are constantly getting hit because we can attack Iran from those bases. This zoom out just one more click so you get, there we go, a full view of what the area in its totality looks like. This is Russian territory here with Georgia and Azerbaijan, bordering on both bordering on Iran. Turkmenistan borders on Iran. Pakistan borders on Iran. Afghanistan borders on Iran. And you've got India down here. Again, BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Also includes Iran. Also includes Turkey. Syria is a incredibly divided nation. The United States controls a part of it primarily because of the oil fields. Russia controls a part of it, and a lot of it is controlled by Iranian proxies, and that is the case as well with Hezbollah in Lebanon controlling all of Lebanon. But so basically at the same time, you've got Yemen down here. You got Houthi rebels firing at Israel. I imagine that's where Saudi Arabia came in. I imagine Saudi Arabia took out a lot of those potential threats. You've got Iran here. You've got Iraq here. I imagine this Iraq is where most of the drone threats were taken out by the United States and by the UK, and those that weren't were eliminated by Jordan before they got into Israel, and then Israel again getting attacked from the north by Lebanon, and also from Iranian-backed militants that also call themselves Hezbollah, but it's not the Hezbollah of Lebanon, it's the Hezbollah of Iraq. So a completely different and separate group, all targeting Israel at once, and Israel, with the help of allies, sustaining those attacks. Let me take a quick look here. Thing happening, and then I'll hop back over to the chat. Daybreak in Damascus, Syria, starting to get lighter. It's light in Ascalon, starting to get lighter in Tel Aviv. Let's see what the other view is. Daylight in Tehran, Haifa, Tel Aviv, Damascus, Jerusalem. It's that time just before daylight in Jerusalem. That part where the darkness is disappearing and the blue, the dark blue of the distance with the glow of the sun just starting to appear. That's what Jerusalem looks like at the moment. And okay. This is odd. There we go. 7 people shot in Southwest Chicago, according to first responders. Okay. I'm just giving a quick scan here to see if there's any new information. Okay, Iran launches another swarm of 80 suicide drones towards Israel. They are expected to reach Israeli airspace in 90 minutes unless shot down. So that's going to be about 6:13 Israeli time. Okay. So what would that be? That would be 11:13. We will see if any missile launches take place as well. I would imagine they would. And let me see if I can get another source. Israeli media is reporting the Biden Netanyahu call ended, and the American to respond to the Iranian attack. That's just what I told you was going to happen. Um, celebrations are going on in several cities across Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, Iran, and the Palestinian territories for tonight's Iranian attack. Israel already debating military options, which include long-range strikes on military bases or nuclear installations in Iran. This comes from The Economist, a legitimate source. Israel has already informed the Americans and the governments in the region that its response is inevitable. Its military options include launching drones at Iran and long-range airstrikes on Iran, possibly on military bases or nuclear installations. It is less likely that Israel would launch missiles from its submarines, which are reserved for the most serious confrontations. Three Jordanians have been killed by missile debris falling over the capital of Amman. The composition of the ongoing Iranian attack on Israel is similar to that of strikes that Russia has repeatedly conducted against Ukraine in efforts to determine the optimal package to penetrate Western-style air defenses. Chris and I spoke on the phone about this earlier, that this first could have been just a probe attack to find out, how good the defenses were without sending any of their actually most top of the line armaments. And again, it sounds like they might be launching another attack, or at least that's the report. The report is more Iranian drones are on the way, and we would assume more missiles will accompany them. Iran is setting Netanyahu up for what he has been waiting for decades. Will he take the opening and go big against Iran's nuclear program, or go for a limited operation aimed at hurting Iran in other ways? Especially economically, if that's the case, then the oil fields of Iran. And that's not good for any of us over here. Talk of any oil fields being disrupted, let alone destroyed. Oh my gosh. Scroll here for a couple more seconds and see if there's anything. Let me show this to you real quick. This is, these are people waiting to get into the gas station right here. These are people lined up waiting to get into the gas station. And this is in Iran. This is happening right now in Iran. So there we go. And let me hop over here. Yeah, peace, love, and sunshine. Everybody does sell weapons. The United States is the leader in the world in selling weapons. And thus, if you are a country that's one of your main products is weapons, you have to have wars. And that might explain why some of the conduct that our government sometimes does that we are left to scratch our heads about and wonder about the common sense, let alone the strategy. But anyway, Iran hasn't used missiles because that would be escalation. Actually, Lauren, they did use missiles. They actually hit. They haven't used any of their, or if they did use their big missiles, they were shot down in outer space, if you will, outside of our atmosphere, which we showed allegedly that is what was happening. but they haven't. Iran did not show everything they have. They did not. They did not. Um, they did not bring their biggest and best. Yeah, Iran basically announced after the attack, and that should be the end of it. It's okay. We're even. You know, it's 1-1, and we'll call it a draw, and everybody goes their own separate way. Israel said, no, that's not what's going to happen. United States tells Israel, hey, let's let it be a draw, or at least, again, I don't know. We'll see how this plays out over the next 48 hours, which is what I said last night at the end of last night's show. Nancy. Hello, Nancy. How are you?
Oh, I'm
Hello?
good. I'm good. Hi.
How are you?
The cat jumped up in my lap, so I was distracted. I'm good, but I have so much to say, and I'm not an expert, but I have been reading a lot of think tank analyses and
Okay.
foreign policy journals, and there seems to be an increasing understanding that you know what, this has been going on for 75 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if we leave it up to Israel and Palestine, it's going to be going on for another 75 years. And the world doesn't need this. And I was stuck in Windows Update hell this morning, so I lost some of my links, but I'll find them and mail them to you. The article saying there is no way this war is going to be won without international intervention. We can't leave it anymore up to Israel and Palestine to solve this, because they will not. And the reason they will not is because there are too many extremists on both sides, religious extremists who think, nope, we don't want peace as much as we want this whole crappy little violent sandbox to ourselves. And even I have no faith in the two-state solution, because there's still going to be bickering about it. And I was reading that some executive director of something at the United Nations pointed out the only way this is going to be solved is by the rest of the world going in there, whether Israel wants it or not, and polices the whole country until they learn how to be peaceful, because right now they don't know how to be peaceful. And the United Arab Emirates has been petitioning international organizations to step in and intervene in this. I quite agree. Again, I'm no expert, but 75 years of this is too much.
Okay, you're cutting in and out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it's all right. You cut out when you were explaining what the solution is. What is the solution?
Oh, for the international community, the UN, NATO, or whoever the Arabs are aligned with, whoever the UAE are aligned with, China, Russia, I don't know, but to send neutral troops in there and referee the situation until everybody who lives there finally learns how to make peace.
Okay. All right. And
that's
kind of what that's kind of the thinking that's going around the think tanks and
yes,
things like that,
and the international policy journals. Okay. And people are giving speeches about it, and the UAE is pretty rich, so they have their money talks. And that's what I would, my dad and I have been talking about this for years. They're not going to solve this. And my dad was part of the occupation of Berlin after World War II. And he's saying it's like the Allies. We need like Allied troops or something, like in Germany and Japan, to go in and teach those people how not to be assholes. I'm sorry, Barry.
All right. Well, thank you for hopping up here, Nancy. And we'll
Okay,
have you
I'm
back.
gonna get down. I've been reading so much about it, and the
Yeah.
articles. There are articles that just say they're
Go ahead.
not going to make peace with each other. They're just not, because there's too many nuts over there who want the whole sandbox. Because God said, you remember that Pat Boone song from Exit? This land is mine. God gave this land to me. This blood and shitty sand to me. They believe that stuff, and I don't see it getting any better. And neither does my daddy. And increasingly, international voices are saying that too. And I think that's going to be the ultimate solution, if there is one, because it might amount to declaring war on Netanyahu. So,
Right.
okay, I'm going to hop down.
All
I've
right.
said it.
Thank you for hopping
Thank
up.
you, Barry.
All
Okay,
right. Talk to you soon.
and have a blessed weekend.
You as well. So, um, interesting, because I don't read a lot of the international journals. I don't pay attention to what a lot of the think tanks have to say. Um, that is a very logical solution. You bring in an international peacekeeping force. That's what we normally do everywhere. That's what we did in what's what we did in Iraq. It's what we did in Afghanistan. That's what we're currently um, thinking about doing in Haiti. And all it does is it ends up delaying things that or escalating things. Because, like Nancy said, neither side is going to give in. And Israel at the moment is systematically eliminating options, not only for Hamas but for all Palestinians. And could this be the time that Iran and Turkey and others, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, if are Chechnya, are they all going to finally say enough? And if it's Israel or the Palestinians, if it's one or the other, they're going to be on the side of eliminating Israel over eliminating Palestine. Palestine is all but decimated, and those countries have stood by up until now. Will that be the case over the next week? That's the whole thing about the Middle East. The whole thing about what's going on right now is the potential for escalation is so vast that if this becomes not a regional conflict based upon Israel's treatment of Palestine, but if this becomes a worldwide conflict of Muslim versus non-Muslim, that's what we risk. That's I'm saying the quiet part out loud. That's what we're not supposed to, we're not supposed to think about. That's kind of the precipice we're on. That this escalates to that. With that being said, tomorrow's Sunday here. in the United States are actually, yeah, we've still got a little bit of time. And people are going to be out doing things. And what happened tonight, what Iran did tonight, as it has pumped up the spirits of individuals in the Middle East, it could motivate extremists here in our country. You know, we already know that ISIS has, you know, we got a warning from the FBI and Homeland Security last Saturday, you know, that something's going to happen within 48 hours, similar to the March 7th warning that was given before the Moscow attacks, which the Moscow attack occurred like 10 days after the warning. So we're getting to the 7-day point after that warning. You know, we cannot be shocked or surprised if we learn of an attack here in the country in the next 48 to 72 hours, inspired by the actions of Iran against Israel. Because I don't remember where I saw it or read it today, like, so I can't quote the source, but I do remember where it was. It was Netanyahu talking to Obama when Obama was the president. And Netanyahu says, we have to stick together because Iran and the Muslim world view you as the great Satan. And then Netanyahu pointed to himself and says, and they view us as the little Satan. So we have to stay together. In the eyes of the Muslim world, we are tied together. And the United States is probably a valid point of attack in the eyes of extremists. That I mean, it's definitely in the eyes. It's definitely there in the eyes of extremists. So keep your heads on a swivel, as always, and don't be paranoid. Be prepared. Don't be afraid. Be informed. And that's part of what we do on here. Yes, everyone, please please stay safe. I'm gonna give one more rundown here. I'm gonna look one more time. Check through. It is 5:59 in Israel right now, so almost 6 in the morning. Allegedly, those drones were going to arrive like 6:15. Is that right? There were 709 rocket alerts today in the nation of Israel. 709 rocket alerts. At the moment, all the skies look clear. Let me see if anything is breaking. Okay, now instead of now News Channel 12 out of Israel is reporting that Israel will respond militarily to Iranian attack within the next 24 hours. So, so not tonight, as they had teased before. Okay, 17 minutes ago, Israeli airstrikes reported in southern Lebanon following continued rocket attacks from Lebanon. Lebanon's continuing to fire rockets towards Israel, and Israel has conducted airstrikes in southern Lebanon. Reports indicate that 185 drones were launched by Iran alone. 110 surface-to-surface missiles and 36 cruise missiles. Region now waits to see how Israel will respond. Yes. Okay, I mentioned Turkey earlier, and allegedly Turkey says it will take action now against Israel. We'll find out what that means. Why is that okay? All right, it looks like. All right, I'm going to take them at their word, and they're not. Israel's not going to do anything, and I'm going to just hang out here for another 4 or 5 minutes. It's 11:11. I don't like doing really long streams. Okay. U.S. says drones and missiles were launched at Israel from Iran, Yemen, Syria, and Iraq. Yeah. I agree with that. Going to be a long few days as things are really ramping up. It's pretty surreal what we're witnessing. Again, this is the first time in history that Iran has attacked Israel from Iranian soil. Normally, it's Iranian proxies. That's been going on, like I said at the beginning of the episode, since the mid 70s. And but today, history was made. Iran has attacked Israel, and okay, that is from. Say who is saying that? That's a message from anonymous. I'm looking for anything latest and breaking. Oh yes, I forgot. I haven't even mentioned that Iran seized a ship that had Israeli ties, a ship that was actually based out of London, and it had, I think, 13 out of 25 of the crew were from India, but that ship has been seized. And I forgot to mention that with everything else that was going on. Let's make sure. Okay. Okay, this came in from NBC News. Reports that President Joe Biden has privately expressed concern that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to drag the U.S. more deeply into a broader conflict. Okay. All right. Check the skies again and see if there are any incoming missiles or drones anywhere. Again, a second wave allegedly was launched that was supposed to be incoming. And wait a minute. Nothing over Jerusalem, nothing over central Israel, nothing over Tel Aviv, Camera of the West Bank is out. Oh, everything just went out. Hang on. Refresh here. Stod. North Israel, the camera's just completely engulfed in smoke. I'm assuming that some sort of strike took place near that camera and something's on fire. But at the moment, nothing. And let me pop this out real quick. I'll give you an idea of what I'm looking at before we shut it down for the night. One of the things I monitor, let me see how I get there here. One of the things I monitor is a multi-screen channel. That you see here, and Ascalon, Tel Aviv, Ashdod, Sarid, and two of the West Bank cameras. Okay, so as you can see, nothing going on over Israel at the moment, and let's hope it stays that way. I'll be monitoring for a little while longer. If something does happen, I will pop back on here just to document it and make sure everybody knows what's happening. So if nothing happens, we will see you Monday night, if not before. Chris will be on here Monday night at 9 o'clock with us, talking about all of this and everything else that will be happening in the next 24 hours. And something significant happens, I will pop back on here, as I said. So until the next time, whenever that may be, do hit the like button, please. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and hit that notification bell so you'll know when we are on. Wish you nothing but love. Love you like chocolate chip cookies. Peace. Reminder, it is a dark world. Try to be a light. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Love you.